Howdy folks, Danny here with BullDogSmithFarms coming at you with another video knife review. And today I thought I would just keep it rolling with the OTFs and another knife that I got from AppostleP. If you watched the last video, you might have seen it. I showed it just in comparison. And it is a Heratic knife, and it is called the Colossus. It's a big one. Yep. And it's pretty. It's green. Everybody probably don't like that color, but I do. And everybody don't have to like what I like. I'm going to just show you this little guy while I'm at it. A little Marine Corps little challenge coin there. And I got that from my good buddy, one of my favorite knife companies over in Georgia, T-Kill Knives. He was a former Marine as well. Simplify, hoorah, and all that stuff. So I thought I would just keep it rolling and just show you this one while I'm at it. And I compared it to this Benchmade that I got, the Phaeton, and it's quite a bit more chunky. In reality, when you put them up next to each other, it looks big difference on the camera, but when you lay them up on each other, it's only about a ½ inch difference. But in the thickness, the width and the thickness, there's a lot of difference in the weight, good bit of difference. And the action is a whole lot easier on this fella than it is on this fella. This one here, I ain't doing it without getting leverage. And you see that? You see that that stuff right there? That is like them bicycle pedals we had when we was kids that would eat meat off your feet. If you slip on it, it'll take meat off of you. So that's a beautiful blade right there, kind of a clip point. And I was looking up the new ones, and they were Tontos. And of course they have traction inlays in them and stuff now. But other than that, they're pretty much shaped the same. A lot of new things, like now they have bearings in the slide to make it easier. So there's that, you know, they're always improving on designs. And it's got a nice deep carry pocket clip there that can be switched around either way, because it attaches at the rear there. And you know, of course, if you've got a thumb slide, you can use that left or right-handed. And I always like that because I got a cousin that's left-handed. I like people to think about everybody, and you know, to include everybody. And I always tell people, you know, I've got real bad hand problems with arthritis and gout and carpal tunnel. If you can have it, I've got it. And so if I can do this, it's, even though it's hard for me, all you know, guys that still have good hand strength, won't have no problem. I have to, you know, I see guys just pull them out and just slap, and I'm like, wow, I reckon I could have done that one time, but I don't know. We didn't have them back then. But I'll tell you, it's a really nice knife. Am I going to throw it in my pocket and carry it every day? No. This guy I got, and I've been really pleasantly surprised, and that is a very carryable EDC knife. This guy, I wouldn't mind to keep it in a bag, but you know, I already have stuff in there that makes it heavy. I got one thing over here in particular that makes it heavy, but this would definitely add some weight to it. This is probably as heavy as my Benchmade Arc, and so it's not a light knife, but we're gonna find out. I haven't got a scale yet. I got to get down to town and get me one, but we're gonna find out, because I'm gonna read you some specs. Now, I got this guy from the same fellow I got this one from, AppostleP Knife Sales channel on YouTube, and he's a really nice fella. He's very knowledgeable about EDC knives, watches, really knowledgeable, and he's a pretty wise guy too, and he shares some of that once in a while. Don't mind to share his faith, and although that's not what the show's about, it's about learning about knives and seeing cool knives and buying some. And I normally don't have the money to afford one, but when they get down to a price, and I do have a little bit of extra money, and they get down to a you know, he's going to have to give it to somebody if I don't buy it. You know, he has a last and final price, and if it don't sell for that, it goes back to the owner. It's the price that if nobody will pay that, they'll take it back. And it's normally got to get way on down there for me to be able to afford one. So I picked this one up from him maybe 6 months ago, 5-6 months ago, and I just got this one from him the other day, and it's, you know, early February here, 2026. So let me show you a little bit about this guy. The overall length, let me open it so you can kind of get a picture there. The overall length on this guy is 8.53 inches, and this guy was right around 8. So like I said, it's about a ½ an inch. It's really only about a ½ an inch longer, but it's a good bit thicker and wider. The blade length on it's 3.5 inches, and that one was right at about 3 1/4. 3.5 inch blade, and the blade thickness is 0.14, whereas, let me see, on this guy it was 0.11, and that one's 0.14. That's a good bit of difference, ain't it? So the blade style, now they come in tantos now, but this one is a kind of a drop point and a little bit of a clip blade, kind of. And it's a standard edge, you know, no oh darn, no serrations there. So the blade finish on this one is DLC, and it's pretty clean, but let me get my KFC fingerprints off of it. Yeah, it's pretty nice, but they come in battle worn finish, battle worn black, bead blast, DLC like this one, satin, stonewash, and two-tone blades. And they all have Magnacut, which is on that side, but it's real little. Maybe you can see it. Yep, it's right down there at the bottom. Magnacut steel, which I love that. I love that about them, that they use Magnacut. The handle is aluminum, and the handle finishes can be anodized, Cerakote, or multiple colors. And this one's is multiple colors. Like this one, it's like they painted it there, you know, green, and then black, and then blasted it or sanded it, you know. And their Heratic logo there. And, you know, now they have, you know, they have really been the innovators of finishes, and taking chances. Like, you know, you do this and you don't know if anybody will want it. Well, I imagine the same was true when they did cell shading, but man, it's taken off. And now they're doing the new cell shading, that kind of drip cell shading. Wow, that's really cool. So, and I'm still trying to catch up. There's a couple of the cell shade ones I want, so I've called them and said, hey, can you find me one? They had, I've got one that's real bright green. They have one that's like a OD green cell shade, and I really wanted a pariah in that. He found me a Medusa, which I already have one, but not that color. But this guy, the action is auto double action thumb slide. And I try to at least slow down long enough to, you know, for people that don't know this stuff like I didn't know it a year or so ago. Double action is just like a pistol. You open it with a thumb slide, and you close it with that thumb slide. Just like a pistol, you just pull the trigger. This is the trigger. And a single action, you open it with the slide, the trigger, and you have to cock it to get it to reload, to pull the blade back in and reload it. And I have not got to fire one of them yet, but everything I've seen and heard is that they fire a lot harder. And if these don't fire hard enough, I don't know what to tell them. But they say they fire even harder. So this guy, at least now, comes in gray, green, black. I got to see this one because I have not seen this one. Root beer. I've got to see that. Red, orange, blue, and purple. So they're still making these guys. They do have traction inlays in them now, or you can get all kind of inlays if you want to spend the money. Stingray and just every kind of thing you can think of. They do inlays, all kinds of stuff, and different, you know, blades, and all kinds of cool stuff. And they are another one of those small companies that I love. And I've been doing stories on Facebook called Hometown Heroes, and they fall in that category. You know, guys that just had an idea and they have built a business, and they are in Sebastian, Florida, which is just north of Vero Beach. It's sort of not quite up to what you'd call Central Florida like Orlando, but not too awful far below that. And it's a beautiful little place. And I grew up there some of my high school years, and I've got a bunch of stories about it. Maybe I can tell sometime. But I met them at Blade Show and saw that they were from Sebastian and I was like, oh, wow, hometown boys, you know. And they have got a booming business down there and employing local people. And, I mean, you have to love that, right? Guys have an idea and go after it, and they end up building other people's dreams too. You know, there's people that work in there that they're building their house and building a life. And so it's not just them, it's the people that work for them. And customers get awesome stuff like this knife. And really nice guys. They gave me a veterans discount at Blade Show right there. And have been great on email and on the phone. Just very helpful and always trying to find me what I want and a good deal. And they have really come a long way in a really short time. And I just really like this knife, and I really like my Medusa. And I'm going to get a Pariah, and there are a couple. I really want one of every knife they got. It may take a while. I have really enjoyed kind of getting to know them a little bit, and I wish them all the luck, just continued success, and keep building awesome knives. Now this fella has got cool jimping right here on the blade. Get it where yeah, kind of that big jimping that, you know, some companies are using now. And the like I said, the texturing on the button is fierce. This reminds me of Godzilla big time. And it's got enough of a, you know, it's not super obvious, but it's got enough of a shape to it. And, you know, it's chamfered right here, and there's milling there. So you get a little grip there. And it's kind of, you know, it's milled right there where your fingers go. I mean, it's very well thought out. It's a little smaller at the back than at the front, so it kind of locks you in from sliding forward. It's just really a well thought out design that you really don't appreciate just looking at it. You just kind of think, well, it's wavy. But then you get it in your hand and you realize that thing's made to hold you in place. I mean, it really locks in. And it's not, you know, the clips doesn't, you know, dig in too bad. You know, I mean, we you know, there's some give and take, you know, with everything. And, you know, we like clips, and we like these nice big deep carry clips. Well, they add some depth there, and so, you know, you're going to feel that. It's a little different than if it was just the handle, but we like clips. And of course you can take it off if you want. It's just a little bolt right there, and that's the glass breaker right there with a steel ball bearing right there. And, you know, all you have to do to change the clip to the other side is loosen that, turn it around, and put it back. So I really like those designs as opposed to having holes in your handle. But that's a little bit newer kind of thing. And this guy, it's got nice milling down here around the edges right there. I mean, there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye when you first just grab it. You got that milling there, then you've got that milling there that's a little more aggressive. You got this step right here. It steps down kind of from there to there. And man, every bit of that was thought out. Your fingers go right in there. And you know, you think, well, I could sit down and draw a knife. Well, I could sit down and draw a knife. I'm a pretty good drawer. But thinking of every one of those little things that is going to affect not only the function, but the fit and finish and feel, and how hard is that going to be to do on milling machines? Can we afford to do it? You know, so you know, things cost so much money these days, but it costs money to do anything in the United States, and people here have to make a good living just to survive. And so I sure don't begrudge them to make a good living, and I don't begrudge people to make good money. When they design and build something, I think they ought to make a good profit. But you know, this guy is just so comfortable, and you just wouldn't think that. You know, like I said before, I'm not skinning hogs with this. Not that you couldn't, but you know, I'd probably find a knife that's more suited to that, because this thing don't need to get that dirty. And you know, it's got its purpose just like everything else does. But you know, you can just right there where you naturally grab it, you can get it that far up on the blade, and you've still got that much left. I mean, it's a big boy. You could get way on back here if you need to, and if you need to, there's really just a sharpening choil. Yeah, you can see that. But you can still get way on up here before you're getting into any blade. And if you really need to get on up there, you can. And again, you can do the lock in here, and you can get all the way to tip that thing just about. And like I've said before, I used to do taxidermy, and so little you know, detailed cuts. You know, we all have to do that once in a while, and you need to be able to get real control of that. You could get up here on this thing if you need to, but you can get a good pinch grip on it. And one thing I'd like about out the fronts is you can really get back against that handle really good on both sides. And that jimping right here is pretty you know, pretty good jimping right there to lock you in, and it comes on out about that far. That jimping right there is pretty good. See, you know, some other guys go into that kind of bigger jimping these days. It's beautiful swedge on that blade. It's just got a beautiful swedge. It's always a matter of getting the light right. That swedge, though, it's amazing how much difference just the little details of a blade makes over it just being a flat piece of steel cut out. That swedge, and then that grind, you know, that kind of not maybe a high flat grind, but a nice flat grind. You know, maybe not the sliciest of blades ever, but plenty slicey. This little guy here, of course, is going to be a little more slicey because it's just a thinner blade, and it's a full flat, you know. So it's going to be a little bit more slicey, but you know, when you gain something, you lose something in everything, and slicey means that it goes through the material fast, but it doesn't separate material. And a wider blade and a wider grind separates material. So, you know, a tactical knife, you know, not that we endorse any of this, but if you was stabbing a pumpkin, let's say, you might want that hole in that pumpkin to be a little bit wider of a hole. You might want that hole to open up a little more. And so a blade with a wider grind like that, it's going to open a hole up wider. You know, if you hunt, you know, there's a reason that 3 or 4 bladed broadheads are better than a two bladed broadhead, because it opens a bigger hole. You know, it makes a deer bleed more, a hog bleed more, and die quicker. Because you know, if you're a good hunter, you don't want, you're not out there to make things suffer. You're out there to try to, you know, get meat, you know, enjoy the things that we grew up doing and may need to do to feed our families, and maybe we do need to do. I've had to do that as a real thing to feed people in my life. Not just fun, although I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I don't know if there's a teenage, you know, boy that didn't. I don't know about these days. You know, guns don't have controllers on them and stuff, but back then we actually got out and did stuff, and I was for sure a get out and do it guy, as opposed to a sit and watch people doing it. I even watching a fishing show, I wanted to get up and go fishing, you know. But Heratic Colossus, they've got oh, I think they have 5 different models of out the fronts, and then they've got, gosh, 4 or 5 models of out the sides, and they've got autos, and they've got manual knives, and they've got some merchant stuff on there too. You ought to go check them out. And if you're looking for a deal for a knife, and you know, you're looking at YouTube, look up AppostleP. He does a sale once a week on Thursdays, and he has a few other shows during the week, lowering prices and things like that, and introducing kind of at least the general scope of what's going to be coming in the new sale this week. And so go check him out, AppostleP knife sales, and tell him that Danny from BullDogSmithFarms sent you, and go get you some. And I want y'all to remember, Jesus loves you, and I love y'all too. And I hope to get to know a bunch of y'all on here, and maybe meet some of you, and maybe meet up at Blade Show or something. Who knows? And remember, the word of the Lord is sharp as a razor, and it'll cut you to the bone. But His grace is more than sufficient, and He heals big wounds. So y'all take care, and I hope the Lord blesses you with sharp knives and happy lives. And I'll see you back next time on BullDogSmithFarms. Bye. The next one.